How would you feel if you found out your life wasn't a random roll of the dice? That every challenge you've faced, every unexpected turn, every person you've loved or lost was part of a pattern your soul agreed to long before you got here? And here's the part that hits deeper. What if you didn't just end up with this family, this personality, this timing, but you selected it because it would shape you into who you're meant to become? Now, I'm going to be careful here. This isn't about blaming yourself for painful experiences or pretending suffering is good. It's about a framework found across many spiritual and esoteric traditions. The idea that life moves in cycles, often described as the wheel of life, where consciousness returns, learns, integrates, and evolves. In Hindu and Buddhist thought, this cycle is often called samsara. In hermetic and mystical traditions, you'll hear it described as a soul journey through density, matter, polarity, limitation. So awareness can mature. Different languages, similar theme. You're here to learn, refine, and remember. If you're a seeker, you've probably felt this question in your bones at least once. Why this life? Why these patterns? Why do certain lessons keep repeating? Many teachings answer that with two forces working together: free will and karma. Free will means you're not a puppet. You make real choices. You can change direction. You can grow. Karma, at least in its original spiritual meaning, isn't punishment. It's cause and effect. It's energy in motion. It's the idea that actions, intentions, and patterns create consequences that eventually return, not to shame you, but to teach balance, clarity, and responsibility. In hermetic philosophy, there's an even sharper angle. The soul is not just a student, it's also a co-creator. Your inner world shapes what you experience, and what you experience shapes your inner world. It's a feedback loop designed to refine consciousness. So, how does reincarnation fit into this? Many esoteric traditions describe a between-lives state, an interlife realm where the soul reflects on what it just lived, considers what was learned, and sets intentions for what comes next. Some describe this as a review, others call it assessment, others call it remembering. And the common thread is this: before you ever took your first breath, your soul existed beyond time and beyond form, connected to something greater than personality, history, or even identity. Imagine it like standing at the edge of a map you haven't walked yet. Not a rigid script, but a blueprint, a general design, a direction. Some traditions describe spiritual guides or higher intelligences involved in that process, beings of wisdom, or simply a higher layer of your own consciousness, not to control you, but to support you. You're shown possibilities, different lives, different families, different challenges, different opportunities, and then the soul chooses. Not necessarily because it wants comfort, often because it wants growth, because the physical world offers something the soul can't fully experience in a state of pure unity. Contrast. Here you experience polarity, light and shadow, pleasure and pain, attachment and release, love and loss. And those contrasts can deepen compassion, humility, courage, and self-knowledge. That's why so many teachings describe Earth as a classroom, not in a childish way, in a serious way, because it's here that you learn things that can't be learned by staying safe, floating above it all, and that's where the idea of soul agreements comes in. Across multiple traditions, you'll find the concept that certain relationships aren't accidental. People may show up as parents, siblings, friends, rivals, partners, mentors. The roles change, but the energetic connection repeats. That doesn't mean every relationship is destined. It doesn't mean you're required to tolerate harm. It means some connections carry unfinished lessons, deeper mirrors, or powerful catalysts. It also explains why certain people feel familiar instantly, or trigger you in ways that don't match the moment. Some traditions call these soulmates deep connections that can appear as romantic partners, lifelong friends, or even family members. Others talk about soul groups, clusters of souls evolving together, taking turns playing different roles in each other's lives. And yes, esoteric circles sometimes use terms like twin flames, but because those claims are difficult to verify, it's wiser to treat them as symbolic language, a way of describing intense mirroring and deep energetic bonds. Here's what matters for you as a seeker. Whether you call it karma, agreements, patterns, or a blueprint, your life is trying to teach you something. So what exactly does the soul choose in these models? Many teachings say the soul selects circumstances that will create the lessons it needs most. A family environment that teaches resilience, patience, boundaries, or compassion. A culture and era that presents specific challenges and opportunities. Certain personality traits and tendencies that become your training ground. Key meetings and crossroads that push your growth forward. Again, this isn't about blaming yourself, it's about meaning. It's about realizing that growth often arrives disguised as difficulty. And the reason this idea resonates so strongly is because it matches lived experience. Patterns repeat until they're understood. Different partner, same dynamic. Different job, same frustration. Different city, same emptiness. And if you felt that repetition, it's not because you're cursed, it's because the lesson is still active. Now let's go deeper. What happens after death in these traditions? Most describe a return to a less dense state, where the soul is no longer limited by the body's survival instincts, social conditioning, and constant noise. In that state, there's often described a life review, again, not as punishment, but as insight, a way of seeing your choices clearly. Some teachings say you re-experience moments from multiple perspectives, including how your actions affected others. The point isn't guilt, the point is awareness, because awareness is what creates evolution. And then, the next phase begins. Planning. In these frameworks, karma influences what's next, not as a sentence, but as unfinished energy. If you created harm, you may be drawn into experiences that teach empathy and responsibility. If you avoided a lesson, life offers it again through a different doorway, and the soul may form agreements with other souls to meet again, sometimes as support, sometimes as friction, sometimes as mirrors. But here's the key detail that makes this more than fatalism. Free will stays active. Even if there's a blueprint, you can still choose how you respond. That's why two people can live similar experiences and come out completely different. One becomes bitter, another becomes wise. Same fire, different result. Now, what about breaking free? Most traditions that talk about reincarnation also talk about liberation, not escaping life, but transcending the illusions that keep you trapped in unconscious repetition. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, liberation is often described as moksha or nirvana. In mystical traditions, you'll hear enlightenment, awakening, ascension, union, realization. Different names, same essence, becoming so conscious, so aligned, that you no longer have to repeat the cycle unconsciously. And that path is usually described as gradual, not dramatic, not performative. It begins with self-awareness, learning to observe your mind instead of being dragged by it, watching your patterns, recognizing your attachments, seeing your fears without letting them drive your decisions. Then comes inner work, healing old wounds, releasing resentment, learning forgiveness, not as weakness, but as freedom. Because resentment is a tether, unprocessed pain becomes a loop. Then comes detachment, not coldness, not abandoning love, but freeing yourself from needing outcomes to feel whole. Detachment in these teachings doesn't mean stop caring. It means stop clinging. You can love deeply and still be free. You can pursue goals and still be grounded. You can experience life fully without becoming owned by it. And as you grow, something starts to shift. Your hunger for external validation decreases. Your fear-based choices become obvious. Your need to control everything starts to soften. Your intuition becomes clearer. your sense of meaning sharpens. Many traditions describe this as raising your vibration, not as a trendy phrase, but as a real internal shift. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions become more coherent, more aligned, less fragmented, and the deeper you go, the more you start sensing what mystics have pointed to for centuries. The illusion of separation begins to dissolve. You don't just intellectually believe everything is connected, you feel it, and that changes how you live. Now the final piece. Some teachings say that souls who reach liberation can still choose to return, not out of obligation, but out of service. History is full of stories of enlightened teachers, Buddha, Jesus, and many others, who are remembered not because they escaped humanity, but because they embodied a higher way of being within it. Whether you interpret those stories literally or symbolically, the message is clear. It's possible to live with greater consciousness here. It's possible to stop repeating the same loops. It's possible to evolve. So if you've been feeling like your life is pressuring you to wake up, like certain patterns are begging to be understood, this may be why. You're not broken, you're being trained. And if you're ready to go deeper into these mysteries with a grounded, seeker-focused lens, make sure you subscribe. This channel is here to give seekers language for what they've been sensing all along. And in the comments, I want to ask you one question. What pattern keeps repeating in your life right now until you finally learn it? If this resonated with you, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And please like and subscribe. Awaken, ascend, become.